I think we are on. Welcome everyone to Tribe Talks. It's actually really nice to be back. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been on. So today we have the amazing Kat Barlow joining us. Welcome, Kat. Welcome.
Hello.
So she's in Melbourne. She's just been telling us about her envy about Sandy's haircut because haircuts are not on the go in Melbourne at the moment. So
She's outside. Look at her outside in a car.
Yeah, I'm in the car.
in the daylight. I know. So, look, before we start, I'll just give you a little rundown on Kat. So Kat is an awesome warrior mum. She has a little boy called Noah who is 10, and Noah is a legend by the sounds of things. I'll let Kat delve into that a little bit more, but he was born very premature, very dramatically, by the sounds of things. So Noah is a complex kid, but the thing I love about Kat is that she's used her ability of her adversity to really channel into, it's making me a bit emotional actually. She's channeled what she's gone through to really help other parents do the best they can. And that's what we try and do at Thrive Tribe as well. So welcome, Kat.
Thank you for having me. I love what you guys do and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So tell us a bit about your story.
Where to start? Noah was born 11 weeks early, nearly on set of a TV show that I was working on. He hurtled in sideways quite unexpectedly and led us a little bit of example of the level of drama that we were in for the next 10 years. So, he was born so early, and then a lot of the things that were going on for Noah, we just thought, because he's little and he's preemie and he will grow out of those things. But as we went along, we just collected more and more diagnoses and also more and more questions. We never really knew what was going on with him. So it started where he was allergic to all food. So we had 60 different food trials, and then eventually after 60, we sort of gave that up and thought, we're not sure how we're going to get anywhere. How is he allergic to everything that we ever did? He was allergic to food and medications and clothes and all of the things. There's lots of parents out there like, yeah, I know. So he then was tube fed. So he's put on a tube at 1 year old. And then at 2, he started to have these stroke-like episodes. And we thought that he was having strokes, TIAs, mini strokes. And so it literally just happened. That's how it looked. It looked like a stroke. So one side of his face would all fall. He couldn't talk properly, couldn't babble, suddenly wouldn't be able to move. And rushed him into the hospital, but it resolved within about 24 hours. And so that was sort of our journey into, this isn't going to be ordinary. This is going to be extraordinary. And we were in for quite a ride for the next 10 years.
Yeah, he sounds like a very, very beautiful little boy by the sounds of things. And he's just gorgeous. You're actually twins. You look so much alike in the picture. I love it.
I love that. I'm not sure he would. I look like a 42-year-old woman, or I look like a 10-year-old boy. One of the other things is true. It's the glasses, I think. But yeah, he certainly had a little accent before he went to school. And bless him, poor little sausage. But he's a gorgeous little soul, and he, as kids do, they sort of get on, like despite all things. And, our second home was the hospital, and so that's where we lived. Like, he did his first year of kinder at the Children's Hospital in Melbourne, and we were there a lot of the time, so 20 weeks at a time dealing with whatever was going on for him, but never really having any answers. So we collected diagnoses, cerebral palsy, autism, ADHD, allergic to all food, and then never really knowing what was going on and desperate for answers, basically, which I think, a lot of people listening will get, because it's so challenging for complex kids to get a diagnosis, or even for sometimes to get a doctor to listen. And that was certainly our case. Up until Noah was 5, we had doctors who thought it was me and something that I was doing. So we went through all that. Because they couldn't believe that he would be allergic to everything, or dealing with so many different complex issues. So it was just, it was a whole different world. Like, went from believing things would be ordinary, not that we ever know what parenting is going to be like, into a world that I'd never experienced, where talking about tubes and lines and medications and hospitals was suddenly how it was. And I think in some ways that was easier because he was my only, he was my first, and it was that was all I knew too. So together we sort of went into this new world going, well, right, what shall we do? What does this look like? How does this look for us?
Yeah.
I think from listening to you, I think what a lot of people will relate to is that uncertainty. But in your case, I think it was, almost like tenfold, because not only were you dealing with a child who maybe wasn't following the normal trajectory, but also they couldn't give you an answer, or they gave you multiple answers, and then you're like, well, what do I do with all that?
Yeah. The most common said thing when we took Noah to the hospital was, I think it's another Noah thing. And that became the phrase. Oh. So it either became, this is your new normal and this is what you have, or we think it's just a Noah thing. So, especially with the stroke episodes, we now know them to be metabolic strokes caused by his mitochondrial disease, but we didn't get a diagnosis till he was 7. And we're still very, very, very lucky that we got a diagnosis, because lots of people don't. There are SWAM families, so syndromes without names, who, don't get diagnoses, and that makes it even more challenging, not just because we don't know what to expect, but the ability then of doctors to listen can be exceptionally challenging. So you're working in a world where they're like, really, can it be all these things? And you're like, yeah, it is. This is how we live. This is how hard it is. And with something like mitochondrial disease, it's the powerhouse of the cell. If you know back from science, I didn't. So the powerhouse of the cell. So obviously, if your cells aren't making the right amount of energy, they don't function properly. And obviously, cells are in every part of our body. So for Noah, it affects every part of him, from the very top of his head to the tips of his toes. I could literally run down bilateral symmetrical brainstem damage. Can't see his left eye, right eye, nystagmus. There was hearing issues, inability to swallow, couldn't eat, chew, fed. Like, you can go all the way down and keep on going. And so, yes, it was a giant catalogue of things. So it's like, why is there a giant catalogue of things? What happened here? It can't just be because he was early. It has to be something else. And so it became sort of a fight, basically, for someone to listen, for a doctor to listen, and then to try and get some answers to see if we could do something to help. To see if there was a way to do something about it. Yeah.
And I think we put so much trust in doctors and professionals, which we should, they know what they're doing. But I know even in our journey with Charlie, the first pediatrician that we saw who gave us advice, I was like, oh, well, that's it. That's what it is. That's all it means. But she's complex. Like, we needed to go through the process of actually using our own gut instinct and then be able to speak to other professionals that had a range of different viewpoints to actually get to where we are now. And I think you learn that along the way, don't you? Obviously, even more so in your situation.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, and that's what we do. We talk about empowering other carers, other parents, because for a very, very, very long time, I had no idea that I had options. I had no idea that I had a choice. I had no idea that I could say, actually, no. Like, actually, stop. Actually, we don't want to do that. So, and literally years, and I mean years, of standing in that pain, often going, well, that's what they said, and going, oh, and it wasn't until we have an exceptional neurologist who is an angel walking. He is the most incredible doctor in very many ways, but also because he has no ego, and he's very, very happy to say, I don't know, but I'll walk with you and let me help you find out. Like, that for me is everything, because I didn't need him to know everything. Noah's very unique. He's the only one in the world with his type. So why would you need to know? But I just needed someone to walk with me and go, okay, I believe you. And What does that look like for you? And for me to be able to go, this is a new thing that's happening. Can you help us? And for him to go, I don't know, let me see, or let me find out, or for him to know, which was even better, was incredible, because it can be a very lonely journey when, we all know it's exceptionally difficult for carers. We can feel isolated, that, when we tell ourselves lots of stories that no one would understand, when in fact loads of us in the same boat. We just need to go, hey, what's going on, which is entirely what you guys do. But it's that ability as well to have physicians and medical teams on your side who are willing to go, I don't know, but I'm here and I'm listening.
I think it's so important to find the right fit, and we've been having this discussion in our some of our coaching calls with some of our members about advocacy in a way that, it's not that you're criticizing people, it's just like, well, if this is not a good fit, we need to find someone who is a good fit, and that might be with a speech therapist or an occupational therapist or a support coordinator, or anyone who provides a service to your family or your child. And it's not a bad thing to say, you know what, I just think I need to see if I can find another person that's going to be a better fit for us. I remember when Emmy's first pediatrician was very elderly, and as soon as I found out she had autism, I started changing some things with her diet, because I'm all about nutrition and stuff like that. And we had some really great results. And when I went in there and told him about it, he laughed at me and basically told me I was wasting my time. And then he fell asleep in our appointment, literally sitting up. And I was like, yeah, that's the last time. We're not a good fit. This
not
is not
time.
okay. And
all right, man.
And I mean, that's an extreme situation, extreme example. But even after the scoffing at the nutrition thing, I was like, this is not going to work, because we're too different in our core beliefs. And I think it's good to have those conversations and identify whether you're a good fit, because you need to have people that will work with you. And I love what you said about that neurologist not having the ego, because I think in the medical profession, sometimes they feel like they have to have all the answers when they don't. We're just doing the best with the information we got, and how can we work out a better solution.
And he would also ask us. So we did a therapy in Queensland, which was which had been invented in Canada. Good talking. See, this is what happens when you don't have where places far away, and it'd been invented there. It was photobiomodulation, right? So and for us, it changed Noah to the point where his MRI changed, his actual neurology changed, physically, structurally in his brain changed. And so instead of going, well, that was just an anomaly, I don't know, he was like, tell me about it. What are you doing? Let's talk about it. And he's always been open. And if I said to him, oh, we're standing on our heads in a corner for a week, he's like, is it working? Yeah. Okay, we'll keep doing that. How do you feel about that? Okay, great. Then keep doing that. So for us, we've hit gold, because this is a physician who is extraordinary at what he does, but he's also really, really open to everything else. And so but you're so right about team, because we had an occupational therapist that just absolutely saved my life. Literally saved my life, because I had when Noah was 2 and he'd had one of his stroke-like episodes, neurologically speaking, he was very combative. He'd seek all the time. He smashed his head on the concrete. That was his favorite thing, because he really liked the feedback. So it wasn't just gentle things. It was really, how confronting that is to watch. I'm sure lots of people do. And so I was just at my wit's end, because I just wanted to protect him. I just wanted it to stop for him, right? I wanted to know another way. And he was just like a little ball of fury. He was just like, and it was so, neurologically speaking, it was like in storm all the time for him. And I didn't want that place for him if there was something we could do, right? She just walked into my home and she sat down and she watched him. And then she went, come here. And he listened. I have no idea how that happened. I don't know. Something about her. And I remember she put one hand on one side of the table and Noah ran into her space. And she put the other hand on the table there and she just started talking to him. That was it. She didn't touch him.
I love that story.
You just melted and sat down. And we got to the stage with her, he come in and he would sleep while she was there. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but that's how peaceful he was with her. He trusted her so much that they would do the therapy. So unlike a doctor sleeping, that's not a good idea. But Noah would just eventually just melt. And by the end of a session, he'd be asleep. And I'm just like, you are like, I don't know where we would have been without her. I don't, because it takes a team, right? It definitely takes a village of people, of friends, connected and tribe who get it. But it also takes those physicians too, who understand whatever that looks like, whether that's anything. Like, I'm open to anything, but any type of person who might be able to help,
I was just gonna say, and it's a bit woo woo, and when you said you're open to anything, I thought it's probably a relevant time to say this, but
how I roll.
Even like energetically,
yes, absolutely,
energetically people need to fit. And like what you're talking about with him falling asleep, like obviously she just had this beautiful energy about her that he responded to, and sometimes it's not the words, it's just energetically how they interact together.
I have two great woo-woo stories. Are you ready?
Yes,
so
please.
Noah was in hospital, very, very, very unwell. They were getting to the stage where we were running out of options, and they said, we're not sure that Noah was going to make it. And he was on TPN, and he was very sick, and we'd been there about 5 months at that stage, and it was just awful, and he was very, very unwell. And they tried all the treatments they were going to try, and they said, we don't know what to do at this stage. And I wouldn't let them speak over him that. So I always speak healing over your child, never speak pain, even if you feel it. Definitely speak pain, but go somewhere else to do that. A big thing for me. And so we had that conversation, and I was like, I'm not giving up. Like, I'm not. What can I do? And so at that time, Noah it wasn't Facebook, but it was something else. Anyway, he had a blog, and it was, I asked people to then send a prayer if that was their thing, a joke if that was their thing, or just something positive, like their favorite positive phrase that they say, like whatever it was, so that from every faction, send me beautiful energy. And people sent them in, and I had thousands of these pieces of paper. And I sat and I printed them out, and I cut them, and I sat next to his bed, and I read every single one out to him. And I just literally sat there for days, and he wasn't really there. He was in and out of everything. And I just sat there and I read every positive thing. And I was just like, and some of them were really bad dad jokes, and I would do the knock back the other way. And I took all the prayers from all different religions, all different factions. That's not the point, right? The point is the energy. It was all love. 3 days later, we went home.
Oh my God.
3 days later, we went home. So it didn't fix everything, but it cured the energy. It fixed the darkness. It really did bring a different energy. And instead of it being a constant pain and distress in that room and in that space, we brought such light and energy, but also a collective light and energy of 1,000 people going, we're thinking, and we're here. And my second woo-woo story, which I love, because I'm all about the woo-woo story.
I love that one.
Like, truly amazing. And we still do it, and he still has his box of positivity in his bedroom. And now, if you go, Noah's got his own Facebook page, because of course he does, because he's the ambassador of a charity. So he has one, Noah Barlow, on Facebook. And so we still now, if there's crisis, we ask people to do that exact same thing. So we do the same things. And when Noah had his last big stroke, which was in October, not last year, but the year before, we went into resource, and his heart rate was in the 200s, and nothing was working to get it down. Like, we tried everything. 3 weeks later, we're still there, and his heart rate's still the same after the stroke, and there was nothing that was working, nothing. And you can go and watch it, because we did a Facebook Live meditation all around the world. We had thousands of people join us for a meditation all around the world, because again, I was like, I don't care, I'm going in. Like, this is my kid. And you know what it's like. You're like, somebody said to me, stand on your head in the corner for a week. You'd be like, sure, I'm going to do that right now. Like, it would do. So meditation works for me. It's a beautiful, peaceful space. I was like, what if it works for him? So we did a meditation, and live on the meditation, you can go watch it. You see his heart rate come down. You see it come down. And we had tried everything on planet Earth to get that down, other than that type of energy. And the will and that level of positivity, you can see it. I'm filming the monitors. I'm filming him. He fell asleep because, of course, he did. And that peace and that energy came, and his heart rate went down.
Got all the goosebumps.
Same. I'm like,
it makes that to me, like, I mean, that's everything I do with what I do, is that ability to empower people and to show people there's another way, and that there's another way to speak or another way to be. Like he had a spinal lesion, and the surgeon came in. So we went in, his left leg stopped working, and we went into hospital, and the surgeon came in and he said, "Oh, I've got some bad news." And I was like, "Go ahead, I've heard it all." Like, sure. I'm sure you think you do. Let's hear it. And he said, Noah's got a spinal lesion. And I said, okay. And he said, wherever it is, and if that's what's affecting his leg, that's why he can't walk. And I said, okay, can you treat it? And he said, no, we don't think so. And I said, can you fix it? And he's like, no, we don't think so. And I was like, okay, I'm done. We don't need to have a conversation about it. And he's like, I'm sorry, what now? I was like, I have done putting all the energy into that I'm going to about this. If you can't treat it or fix it, thank you very much for the information. Off you go. And so he was decidedly horrified. He did call a social worker, who came and just decided that was a very sensible thing to do, to not put energy into it. So, she was a very lovely lady. And for us, we just don't put energy into things that we can't do anything about, because it's not worth it, right? So then we could lament about that forever in the end of time. Do we have to? No. I don't even know where it is anymore. That's the thing. I don't put any energy into it. I don't know. So it's that I can either focus on that and then spend the next 6 months going, this is awful, this is terrible, I can't believe this has happened, it's not fair, why us, another thing, we just add it to, like, and I literally just went, I'm not even sure.
I could literally listen to your energy and you talk all day. You're so interesting.
I know. I'm like, oh, this is really great advice. Like, everyone could use that advice, because I think, especially now in this like current state of the world, so many people, like including me, like worry about stuff that we just can't control. And I think one of the most empowering things, like, I had to pull myself up during the week and be like, I can't worry about that. Like, I can't actually do anything to affect that. So, but I can control how I respond to things. So let's just focus on that, and then everything else will be what it will be.
Yeah. Yep. It is what it is. And Peter Crone, who's one of my most favorites, said, what happened. It didn't happen any other way because it didn't. No truer words spoken. It's done. Anything up until this moment, this minute, and this second, it's already finished with. It's already passed. It's already gone. What we do from now on matters. What happened before is an illusion of opinion or a perspective that was. Now is what matters right now. Like, we might have messed up 25 times already this morning, whatever that looks like, yelling or carrying. Like, we all do it. Of course we do. Humans. But then what we do now matters. So don't lament what was, because it's unfixable. This is what matters. And to stay in what is and what is happening, what is in our control. But I think especially with parents and especially with carers is self-compassion. We're very, very good at caring for everybody else. We're very, very good at looking after everybody else and helping other people. But we're a lot less excited about doing things for us and our souls.
Amen.
So self-compassion literally just asks the question, what is going on for me right now? How do I feel right now? And what do I need in this moment? Just that. Not how can I fix this or how can I make this go away? No, because we're not trying to make anything go away, because it is what it is, right? What is happening in this moment? What is going on in this moment? What do I need right now? Just like you would ask your own child. Why are you upset? What can I do for you? Why are you so angry? What is happening for you? Ask yourself the same question. Take that time out and just go, what is going on right now? I feel really triggered right now. I need to go walk, or I need to do, outside, whatever it is makes that you can do to help your soul, even if that's 2 minutes out.
Yeah, that's such great advice. I love that.
Pat, can I just ask you quickly, just really quickly, how do you, what would be your advice to staying in that space? Because we talk about this a lot in Thrive Tribe about, maintaining self-care and staying in a space where you might not be perfect every day, but you have the mindset that you can pull yourself out of a funk if you fall into one or whatever. So how do you maintain that level of clarity day to day?
So for me, two things. One, I never call it self-care. Now, I used to call it self-care. And I used to be like, self-care is so important, and self-care this. Looking after ourselves is important. Now, the big difference between the two is one is a buzzword, and we all use it, and we all have, and we all will. But when we make it a buzzword, it becomes something we have an option about, right? I might do meditation. I might go to yoga. I might cut my hair. I might have a shower if you're in Melbourne. I might get out of my pajamas today. Unlikely. But then it becomes an option, right? Looking after yourself isn't an option. Looking after your child is not an option. If you don't look after your child, they will expire. So you have to look after them. It is the same for ourselves and our soul. Looking after ourselves is just, it's breathing. It is functional. It is me first. And I dead set me. And people are horrified because they're like, what do you mean? It's your child first. And you go, and that picture on a plane is absolutely true. You cannot put somebody else's oxygen mask on if you forgot yours. And carers fatigue, compassion fatigue is a very real thing. And that's not where, we run out of energy to care. No, it is where we run out of soul to be able to refill. You cannot look after another soul if you haven't looked after yours first. We have to, and it's, fill your cup and all that stuff. And spa days, great, that's important. We should all do those things. It's not about that. But that's different. That's indulging. And that is absolutely, we should all do that as well. No question. Yeah. But we can also look after ourselves. Like, stop to eat food. Sit down. Like, I wrote a blog the other day when my mate called me. She's like, are you sitting down? And I was just like, I'm at home on my own and I'm standing eating my dinner. What is going on? What am I possibly doing? I couldn't just sit down and take 5 minutes out. Yeah. We're so busy. We're so, I need to do and I need to fix and I need to do. It's like, hang on. Actually, no. When Noah was really, really mini, I would put myself in timeout, legit. So he had a timer, the happy things of having so many structures around. He understood timers, he understood schedules, and he understood timeout. Now, timeout in our house was never punishment. It was always space to breathe. So that was the balance. So for me, it was like, I need space to breathe before I say and do something that I'm going to regret. Here is 10 minutes. Don't speak to me. I'm in timeout. Yeah. And I would sit and just breathe, because 5 minutes breathing, I do a course and we did last night we did 5 minutes of grateful heart breathing, and everybody when we finished was like, oh, and me too, was like, I feel like I've had a massive glass of wine, I feel like I've just had an hour off. And you don't need a lot of time. No. Time is not to be found. It is not lost down the back of the sofa. Time is to be made. Because I'm dead set serious. If somebody said to you, your kid needs 5 minutes a day of this, you would make time. Yeah. That time would just appear magically from nowhere. So guess what? You just need to make time for you too. You have to make time. Make it.
Yes.
Make it.
Totally agree with that, Kat. Couple things around that. One, we talk a lot about finding moments, because mums often say to us, I don't have time. My day's just too full. And I'm like, well, but we can find little moments in the day. And I feel like that's similar to your 5 minute breathing thing. Like even a minute of breathing is beneficial.
And I have a great way that you can convince any parent. Are you ready? What you model and mirror of how you deal with adversity and consequence and mindfulness is what your child will learn to.
Yes.
So if you want them to learn that it's okay to take time, if you need them to sit down and take a deep breath because they are building or they're ready, they're in meltdown or they're in the red zone or however it is for you at home, then show them what that looks like. Model what that looks like. And I have a complex child, and I appreciate that my child isn't as complex as it gets. There are children who are way more complex. I get it, but there's still space for that connection. And that sometimes it's energetically, if people are, non-verbal and they don't move, but there is that energy between you, you can still keep energy and peace. Or if your child, whatever it looks like, right? All of our children are unique, whether they're ordinary or have additional needs. There's a million things. Having that ability of connection and demonstrating, kids learn by modeling. So show them. And I legit will say to Noah, I don't know what's going on for me right now. I feel so anxious that I cannot function in this moment. I need to take time. I'm going to put a timer on. You can sit next to me. You can read. You can run around and scream. Whatever floats your boat. But I am going to sit in this moment and just have a minute and so over time, he's gone to sit next to me. And you'll see him now and he gets stressed. And I'm like, you all right? He's like, I'm breathing it. I'm breathing it. I'm like,
I love that.
And if we need him, can I teach you my special breathing trick?
Yeah.
Have you got time? All right. So the special breathing trick is monkey breathing.
Okay.
Now, it works very, very well for grown-ups because, we all a bit silly is really important, right? Laughing to me is everything. If I haven't laughed by the end of the day, I watch stand-up till I do. Absolutely. Never go a day without laughing because it's rubbish. Even in intensive care, when Noah's in intensive care, I would watch stand-up comedy. So the monkey breathing, and with kids is they like the look, right? So you know how when they say you've got to breathe properly, you breathe into your belly, it makes your diaphragm move, and you make your belly stick out, right? It's the only time you want your belly to really stick out. So when you take a big deep breath, you want your belly to stick out. You don't want to be breathing like this because it makes you anxious, makes it worse, right? So if you breathe like this, get ready, ladies, right? Like a monkey. Just try it. When you breathe like that, you have to breathe into your diaphragm. There is no other way for that breath to go. Try. So your belly sticks out.
Do it, Sandy.
I can't see you guys. I really want to be able to see my
How can you not see us?
No, I can't see.
We're having such a beautiful monkey moment. Steph, do it. Right? Right? So you breathe in your belly. I want you to imagine what we look like, Sandy, and give it a crack just so we can laugh at you trying to look like what we look like.
Pretend. Do it. Do it.
I have no even idea about what you're doing. You're writing to me, so I have a clue.
So the point of monkey breathing is you breathe in a square. Do you do square breathing with your team? Right. So you go in for 4.
Breathing.
Hold
Yeah.
for 4.
Yes.
Out for 4, hold for 4. So you already know that, right? So you're square breathing, but like a monkey, right? And you do that. So you're breathing into the diaphragm.
So count your lips out. God, this is going to be entertaining for our viewers.
Think about a celebrity who may have had too much work done on them. There we go. Like that.
But open your mouth.
Now open your mouth a little bit.
But lips out, like Botox lips.
I don't know if my face moves like that.
Yes, it does. Oh my God.
I'm going to try it later when I can see.
So the point of the monkey breath, right, is twofold. One, it helps you breathe into your diaphragm, and you don't have to think, I need to breathe properly. Because often if we feel an anxiety attack coming on or we feel really anxious, we don't know how to breathe properly because we can't think in that moment because we're in a position of pain. So monkey breathing takes the thought away and puts us in a position of power. But it also looks wildly entertaining. So often just doing it will make us giggle and stop feeling anxious. And kids love it. So if you can really do the monkey breath and look like a monkey, I'm not going to stand up.
I'm going to do it tonight. As soon as the babies are home, they're monkey breathing. That's what happens.
I promise you, if you do the proper thing and you do the whole thing, kids find it hilarious. And it's really, really good. It's so hard to teach them square breathing. Really, really easy to teach them monkey breathing when they're in the red zone, getting to a meltdown, after school, whatever your vernacular is in your house. Monkey breathing. Do that.
I love it.
A few minutes. If you monkey breathe for 2 minutes a day, I promise you, you're going to feel much, much better.
Well,
I'm going to try it once I watch the instructions.
I'm not going to allow instructions. I want you to post it's all these sorts of things. You know, there are so many tools out there. The point is that usually we only practice them when things are really, really bad, right?
Yes.
But, you know, your mindset lasts as long as a shower. You need to do it every day, even when things are great, especially when things are great. Because if you
That's
can
what
practice,
we talk about, we talk about building a tool belt and practicing those skills when the crapola hasn't hit the fan, because then when it does, like you're practiced at it, you can be like, okay, which tool do I need right now? I'll pull that one out, and that will be the one that I use. So I relate it to my calm birth course that I did. Like, I practiced that calm birth breathing because I was terrified of giving birth again. I practiced it for like 4.5 months. So when it come to birth time, I was like, I know how to do this. Like, I know the breath that I need to use. It was like second nature. And that's how I look at like building the tool belt. If we do all this stuff when we're calm, it's much easier to implement when we're not.
And you persuade people to do that. Ladies, gentlemen out there, you need to do the work because your children are watching. And when they become, you know, if you have a child who is a many splendid thing, we'll use my child as an example. My child is a many splendid thing. There is no cure and no treatment for what he has. He is the oldest child with his condition. We do not live in pain. We live making memories. We live doing things that is. But when we do have dark days, when we do have pain, he knows the tools and strategies to use because he's watched me.
Yes.
He's watched me, you know, sob. He's watched me feel anxious. He's watched me feel distressed. He's watched me say the words, I feel like this today. And I don't know why. That happens too, right? And here's what we do about it. So that way he has learned over, and it took years. This isn't a 10-minute job where he's like, that's right, let me just go meditate. No, like years of stuff. And that one time, instead of melting down, he went and sat in a corner and breathed. Like, that's a win, right?
Oh, it's a massive win.
Because over time, that's what they'll learn. And you'll also see he'll teach other kids too.
Yes. Yeah. I love that.
You know, full disclosure, it's so true. And sometimes you just need to stop to think about how we are modeling ourselves around our kids as well. Like last week, the past 2 weeks, we've been dealing with some stressful situations, right? Sandy and I, like, specifically. And at home of an evening, I had been walking around stomping, like, and just, you know, I'm human. But what I noticed in the days to follow was that Charlie, my little girl, like, her responses to me were angry. A lot of the time, she would be like, I don't want to, like, for no reason. And I was like, what's going on with her? Like, why are you so angry? She's literally either absorbing my energy or just modeling the way that I'm talking throughout. And
we're all going to human. Like, this is not a time where we're like, we're all 100% going to yell. We're all 100% going to be cross. We're all a bazillion% going to do the wrong thing, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
Things that aren't conducive to soul all of the time. And that's okay too. It is then when we become aware of that and go, hey, today I really didn't do the right thing by you, mate. And I was cross and I was angry and I was yelling. And I tell you not to do that all the time. So what I discovered today is that my trigger is this, or I feel really angry if I don't get my walk, for example, right? So this is what I'm going to do next time. So if you see me becoming really, really cross, you can even ask me, are you doing the right thing for you right now? Are you taking time for you right now? And he does. Yeah. So you can change anything by having an open conversation about it. Like, how much better it is. You don't have to be the superheroes we want to portray ourselves as, or be as together as people need us. We need people to think. We don't. And in fact, there's a huge power in going, I am done. I need support. I need help. Please, why is today so hard? You know, having mates where I can message and go like, oh my goodness, I have never. What is going on? Like, what is happening today? Okay, what do I need to do for me? You know, all of those things, that connection. But awareness is everything, right? You can't do anything unless we're aware of what we're doing. But once we're aware, we can have a choice.
Yeah.
Very insightful, Kat. You're amazing. Thank you so
many
much.
Amazing messages. Yeah.
Yeah, you're awesome. So
thanks for having me. It's been great. I love what I do,
Very
and
cool.
I love your community. It's great, and everyone's welcome to visit me over in Empowerment Ethos on my Facebook page, and we can hang out there too.
Sounds amazing. We'll check it out. Thank you so much.
Thanks
you for having me. It's been delightful.
Yeah, we'll chat to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.